This tutorial will show how to use the equation editor in Lux. There are basically three ways you can edit equations and math code in Lux. The first one is directly in the text. The math code would be in line with the text, and you can either start that with a sigma button in the menu line, or you just press Ctrl M. Another way is if you want to have a whole equation separated from the text in its own paragraph, and this equation can either be numbered or not numbered. To get a non-numbered one, you just press Shift Ctrl M and write your equation. If you decide you would like to get a numbered equation, you just right-click and then you enter a label for cross-referencing later this equation. And that's it. One thing, the rule for numbering or not numbering equations for this book is if there is an equation and you know you will cross-reference it, it should get a number. If there is an equation which never gets cross-referenced, it should not get a number. Here are a few ways how to write math expressions. On the bottom of the Lux window, when you're in math mode, there are several math buttons you can use, similar than the ones Word provides to write math code. You can also use LaTeX commands if you're familiar with LaTeX. In the math environment, you just start typing, for example, \frac, and while you're typing, the command will be auto-completed. And the most convenient way is actually to use shortcuts. If you want to write a subscript, just use the underline. If you want to write a superscript or an exponent, use the accent sign. And for writing a fraction, just use Alt-M. You press them at the same time, and then you press the letter F, and the fraction environment already appears automatically. If you want to add parentheses around an expression, you first mark the expression, then you use Alt-M at the same time, release these two buttons, and press open parentheses or any other type of parentheses or brackets you want to use. Greek letters are very easy to use too. If you want to write a Greek letter, type Alt-M at the same time, then release the two buttons, press G for Greek letters, and then the letter you want to type. That could be a small a for a small alpha. It could be also a capital R for capital Rho. I will show you how to do that for a few examples. Let's go to Lux. As you can see, I'm already in my document, Markets Competitive. And in this document, I want to write something about triangles rather than about markets. I started already. A triangle with a right angle has a hypotenuse, and I write that high, and it recognizes it because I wrote it before. I just confirm. So now I want to write a C, but I want to format it as a variable. So what I do, I go into the math environment, Control M, and just write C here. To leave the math environment, I use the key with the arrow to the right, so I just move to the right. I left the math environment, I type a blank, and now I say and 2 seconds. And now I want to write A1 and A2. So what I do, first I use Control M again, write A, and now I hit the underline button, so Shift, underline, and you see it goes in the subscript mode, so I can enter my subscript here, A1. Now I use the arrow to the right, and you see I left the subscript mode but not the math mode. So I type again to the right. Now I type blank and say and same thing again. Control M for the math environment, A, then shift underline, 2, and then 1 to the right, 2 to the right, and a colon. Now I hit return and I want to type a formula that has its own line and potentially a number. So what I do, I hit Control Shift M and you see I'm in formula mode. And now I type the formula, which is for the hypothesis C, and then to the power I use the accent sign, that one over above the 6, C2. Now I move to the right to leave the superscript mode and I say equals, and I can say A1, A, subscript 1 like before, and now I want to have a superscript. So I just use the accent sign above the 6, and that was not correct because now it's a superscript to the subscript. I don't want that. I go first, leave the subscript mode, and now I enter the superscript 2, and you see they're already nicely aligned. Move to the right. I'm out of the superscript mode and say plus, and then A underscore 2. Leave the underscore, the subscript sign. I'm in normal mode again. Superscript, and then the square. Okay, now I want to write this equation in a different form. I want to divide both parts by c square. So what I do here, first I cut this out here because that will be later become my nominator. Control X, it's gone. And now I want a fraction. So what I do is I hit Alt M instead of Control M, Alt M, nothing happens. But now when I hit the F button for fraction, see I have the fraction here, I can paste my nominator in here. And I can move this one here. I mark C2, Control X, cut it out, write a 1 here, and put this one here in the denominator. Control V. Let's say I want to multiply both sides with a Greek letter. How can I get a Greek letter? I want the alpha, so I get rid of the 1. I type Alt M again, then G for Greek letters, still nothing happens. But now when I type A, see the alpha appears here. Let's say what is not necessary, but maybe I think it's nice, I want to have the whole fraction in parentheses. So I mark the part what I would like to have in parentheses, and I type again Alt M. Nothing happens. But now I type the opening parentheses, and there are parentheses already nicely around it. Here I can add my alpha to make the equation correct. Alt M, G for Greek, and A for alpha. There it is. This would give me an unnumbered equation. Let's say I would like to have a numbered equation. What I can do here is I right-click and we get several options and we choose equation label. What happens? I have the chance to enter a label that I can use later for cross-referencing, and I leave the equation colon here and I choose my label, and in the cross-referencing section I will show you which labels to use. So I call it markets for the chapter, competitive for the section, and now I just enter something that I recognize it, and I call it triangle. And I click OK. And you see not only the equation is marked, I can see also what is the label I can later use for cross-referencing. So I hit return and I can write further on, write more here. And one more thing is, what if I want to have two variables, a times b? And if I go in math mode, Control M, and I just write a and b, it looks like this variable might be ab. If I want to distinct that and I want to have a small space, and if I hit just space, nothing happens. So what can I do? I can hit Control space bar, and you see now I have something in between here. How does the whole thing look like? Let's double check it. Let's just translate it. We go to main and create the PDF. The book document comes up and I go to the part what I'm interested in, competitive markets here. And we can see if I make this a little bit bigger here, how nicely our formula is formatted. So here's an equation number. It's chapter 3 and the first equation in chapter 3. And you see here A and B. There's a space in between. And the formula, of course, looks way nicer than it looked in the preview. It is just nicely formatted. Before I end this tutorial, I would like to show you a few other things. I create a new equation with Control-Shift-M. And Lux has, as Word has, a mathematical toolbar. So if you prefer to use this one, or if you find you need some expressions that are on the toolbar but not on in the control menu, you can use, for example, a square root out of a. And then I go to the right to leave the square root area. I can even calculate any root out of, let's say, the third root out of 27. And I can use all these other little buttons to create my formula. It's a matter of taste, how you do it, how you can do it faster. Here's also a trick that's for somebody who knows a little bit about LaTeX already. You can also use the LaTeX commands. And the nice thing is Lux completes them for you. So let's say fraction, you start backslash FRA, and it's fraction FRC, but you see it shows already a selection. I choose fraction here, and boom, you have A over B. If I convert this document to PDF, I get a nice looking formula. In this case, it's an unnumbered formula. Have fun with creating your own math expressions, and that's the end of the tutorial.